back to the bench a lot earlier than you thought you would.
Yeah, in those scenarios, I felt great. I felt like my game was on, and um, I felt like I was getting back to me, and I was really putting my best foot forward. And to get the same outcome, that's when the mind really starts to wander a little bit and makes you think, are you doing anything wrong? And as much as you look at it, and there's not a whole lot different in your game, but you still start to chase results a little bit. And I've been preaching all year. That's the most dangerous thing for you is going with expectations and relying on results. No, you play your game, you play as hard as you can, and you move forward there.
Not that the Dallas Stars are any treat, but do you feel like perhaps there's been a bit of a burden lifted off of your shoulders with the way that you stood so tall and so defiant in the third period and overtime Sunday night?
Yeah, I think there was definitely I don't want to call it an awakening, but there was definitely a moment there where I was able to take my game to another level, and feeling that, and it definitely gives you some momentum and some confidence going into moving into the next round. And that being said, just we're in some new territory that we haven't been in a while, so I'm really excited. It's a restart for me. Who cares about what just happened? We got through it, and moving forward here, I'm really excited to put my best foot forward and do my job.
When did you know that moment was when that moment took place? At what point in the game that feeling, that moments that you described took place? And have you felt something like that before in your career at any point?
Yeah, well, to be honest with you, I felt it this series multiple times. Every time in their building, I came out feeling great, feeling like I was playing my game. I was moving well, seeing the puck well. And then bad bounces happen or breakdowns happen, and you start chasing results a little bit, and then in the back of your mind, the results kind of creep in, and makes you wonder, is what you're doing enough? And that was the biggest thing this series, is what I'm doing enough. And being in that moment and seeing how many people believe in me and how many people care about me in this room was a really good feeling. And talk about growth moments. That's definitely a family growth moment in this room. So for me, myself personally at least, and moving forward here, getting into that OT, it was I'm not going to let these guys down. And they pulled through, and the rest is history. And now we just got to look forward and continue to build my game.
Superstars are superstars because they want to leave their imprint on the game. Can you talk about that balance between wanting to, like you're saying, wanting to have that impact on the game but not trying to do too much?
Yeah, it is a fine line. I want to do everything I can possibly, and when you're the goaltender, it's a lot of it goes through you, and you feel like you can do a lot, but you start doing too much and you get away from your game, and then little things creep in, and when you're rewatching it, and you question some things that you did here and some things that you did that kind of threw you off, threw your reads off, and that's what we want to try to avoid. So in goaltending, it's you kind of got to let it come to you, but also attack it while it's coming to you. So there's a fine balance of how much you want to do and how much you want to just rely on the guys around you.
Connor, I imagine there's a friendship. Imagine what it would be like if a player was struggling and the fans and the whole city were behind them. Mm-hmm. After you got shelled, in your own words, I mean, Game 7, they're still chanting MVP. I'm wondering if you can describe what that feels like today to have that support.
It's hard to describe that. It's just so awesome to be part of that. Something I cherish so deeply, and the big reason why I'm going to be a Jet for life is this crowd believes in me, this team believes in me, and as much as I believe in myself, and that's dangerous. That's when things get going and things get rolling, and having them behind me is, I don't want to say a sigh of relief, but just a proud moment in my world.